WSTU, it is time for the forum, and let's go to our host, Pat Sacco.
Thank you, Mike. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I heard a little quip about Florida looking at some kind of a booklet that people have to read prior to getting a marriage license and
Right.
signing an affidavit that they have read this book. I live in a condominium association,
Mm-hmm.
and we have rules and regulations. When somebody moves in, we give them a copy of the rules and regulations and a sheet they have to sign acknowledging that they have received and read the rules. So if they violate a rule, they say, well, we didn't know about that. Here's your sheet.
Mm-hmm.
You signed, you said you read it. Okay, so you're responsible. Like one of the rules we have is you can't back your car into your parking space. We have a covered space and a non-covered space. Why can't you back your car in? Because you're right near another patio. And if you back your car in and let your car run, all the fumes go toward that patio. And it also kills the shrubs that are behind you.
Okay.
So you can't back. Well, why can't I back in? Because it says that's why. Well, I want to back in. We say, well, find another community that'll allow you to do it.
Right.
You signed the paper saying you agreed to abide by the rules. And that's legal and binding. It's kind of called a meeting of the minds.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's say you're going to lease an apartment, and it says no noise after 8 o'clock.
Right.
And so, well, that's not fair. Well, you signed it, and you agreed to it, so you have to conform to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in this day and age, we have to spell things out so everybody understands what's going on. We have freedoms, but we also have responsibilities.
Right.
And sometimes those responsibilities kind of clash with our freedoms. Like I want to pull my car in back. You can't do that.
Well, you have the freedom to choose not to live there.
Exactly. You're not bound to stay there. Correct. Well, I've got a couple of things to talk about today. Excuse me.
That button's not going to work on that mic.
But I'll gag through it. Okay. First of all, I'm on an exciting committee, and I'm honored to be on this committee because it deals with Alzheimer's and deals with dementia, and it's called the HUGS program, HUGS, and it's a Martin County initiative. It's sponsored by Alzheimer's Community Care, which is one of my fellow organizations, the Kane Center, which is the Martin County Council on Aging, which is on Salerno Road, and the Community Foundation, which is part of the Francis Langford Foundation. It's called the HUGS program. Now, what does HUGS stand for? You know, everybody wants a hug. That's wonderful. But it's an acronym. The H is help, which is the most valuable population as they live in our community, to help them, understanding the desires of those living with dementia to remain an active and valued part of the community for as long as possible. G for guidance, for businesses and citizens as they learn the most effective and compassionate way to respond to Martin County residents living with dementia. And S for safety, in all situations that the caregiver and persons living with dementia feel free to remain active as long as possible, HUGS, and this HUGS program. And I want to go back about 40 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Kalamazoo working at a hearing and speech center, and I was active in what's called the Lost Chord Club. And this was an organization for people who had laryngectomies, had their voice boxes removed. All right. And there are certain safety issues that you have to conform to. And that was a quick one. And we would go around to businesses, factories, and talk about first aid for neck breathers. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you had a factory and they were making widgets in there, and there were a couple of people working, but one of them had a laryngectomy. Well, if they collapsed on the floor and the emergency people came by and took the mask for oxygen and put it over their face, it didn't do any good.
Right.
Because there's no connection now between the mouth and the lungs. Other the hole in your neck is your new nose. So what we would do is train them to use the baby mask. And when you put the baby mask on the throat, it formed a really good seal. If you tried to put the big one on, all the oxygen would expire.
Okay.
And we talked about those kinds of things, and we did all the kinds of businesses we would rally. Well, HUGS is like that. They're looking for certifying people to be HUGS friendly, dementia friendly, by going through this instruction. And like I said, it's a collaborative effort. And why we're doing this in Martin County? Because approximately 6,500 Martin County residents are living with dementia. I think we're up to about 200,000 in the county now,
Okay.
but 6,500 of them have dementia.
Wow.
Because the majority of Martin County citizens with dementia are living at home and are being cared by family caregivers, and because Martin County citizens should be able to provide help, understanding, guidance, and safety, hugs, to their neighbors and family members living with the disease and their caregivers. And there are regular seminars that are held. You go and spend a couple hours. They review everything about dementia, about safety. And it's a wonderful thing. They've done the police, they've done the firemen, they're doing businesses right now. I was at a meeting the other day, and they've got several other large corporations and banks that are saying, yes, we want all our people trained, and it's a free training. In fact, they have just come out with a couple of decals. One is a road safe, Martin County Hugs road safe for your automobile. The Martin County Sheriff's Office and Stewart Police Department and receive a car decal so that the event of a roadside emergency for all first responders can quickly and safely attend to the person or their caregivers.
So this would be the individual with dementia puts this on their
No, the family member, the caregiver.
the caregiver puts it on.
Right, because you're going to be having your loved one in the car.
Okay.
Okay. By signing up for this free program, you can make sure your family has peace of mind when someone is on the road. Then they also have a home safe decal. Families living with dementia can get a free window cling for their home. When first responders see a Martin County Hugs window cling, they're immediately aware that someone with dementia may be inside the home and appropriately respond and assist to the most compassionate and effective way possible, with the goal of keeping all free from harm. The free window decal cling will be discreetly identify your home and help first responders to keep you safe at home.
Excellent.
Now, there's a handout for these two clings for the road safe and the home safe that'll be distributed at the Blake Library on Thursday, November 14th.
Next week.
Which is next week from 1 to 4 p.m. You can stop in and get these free decals.
Do you need to show anything? Do you need to bring
No,
anything?
you just come and get them.
You just walk in, say, can I get one of these decals? And
Exactly.
free?
Free.
Excellent.
And then there are also seminars that are held regularly at the Kane Center for the Hugs program, for people to come in and listen to all the dimensions and everything that you need to know. And it's a free seminar. And again, you get hug trained.
Yeah.
And it's a fabulous effort. They're going into businesses, let's say a restaurant, and they're explaining the restaurant, and the restaurant owner will say, I want all my employees to get certified. I want all my employees to be there, okay, to understand this thing. And I mean, it takes me back that 40 years ago when we tried to do the same thing for another condition. And when you talk about things like that, people are very open to saying, of course. It makes us better if we let's say you put a decal in a restaurant saying we're Hugs trained. That means all of their representatives, all their workers are aware of what's going on. The Alzheimer's Community Care and several other organizations, as well as the Alzheimer's Association, have a little card, like a business card. And if your wife had dementia and you're in a restaurant and a waiter comes to the table, you just discreetly hand this card to the waiter. And it says, my friend has a problem with memory. Please be patient.
Okay.
Because the waiter's going to say, and what would you like?
Right.
Got their pad and their paper, and the person's waiting, and getting all upset. Come on now, Once they realize that, they completely turn 180 degrees.
Sure.
And they're very compassionate.
So you go into a restaurant,
right,
and train all the employees, right, and then they get that Hugs.
They don't. Yeah, they get the symbol at the
symbol
window
at the door. What about when there's turnover at the restaurant and you got new servers coming in?
Again.
You just train. You do periodic training.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And it's kind of like, if you're driving like US 1 right now, they're putting barriers up because they're doing a lot of electrical work. So going from a 3 to a 2 lane kind of thing.
Miserable.
If you're in the bad lane and you're trying to get in, you're waiting for somebody to stop so you can get in. And they keep going by and going by. But if you put your hand out and, point, the person will smile and they'll stop their car and let you in.
Oh, I don't smile.
No, but if you know what I'm saying? If you give a courtesy kind of thing, people are more likely to respond. But if you're trying to edge and people are zooming around you, like, you're not coming in, I waited 20 minutes for the light
Mhm.
kind of thing. It's a courtesy thing. And I think in this day and age, we're very cautious and very negative about dealing with people. We're not trusting like we used to be trusting. And yet, if you give somebody an opportunity to give you a little trust, they respond beautifully. Like in the grocery store, you're working your cart down, and the lady's in the way. Say, "Hey, move that cart." They give you this dirty look. Say, "Excuse me, could you please move your cart?" Oh, of course, and they do it.
Mhm.
If you're courteous to them, they tend to be courteous back.
Sure.
But they're not reaching out to be courteous like they used to. Okay, I think you see that. Or somebody's in line and it's an elderly person, they're fumbling for their checkbook, and there are 2 or 3 people in line, and you're waiting and you're waiting. You want to say, "Hey, get out of the way." But if you make a joke about it, saying, "That's all right, I'm not cooking this till tonight,"
Right.
and then they'll laugh and they conform. People are generally good when you ask them to bring out the goodness in them, I think.
Sure.
But when they're not asked, they're more centered in themselves. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
absolutely.
it's like going in a store that they know you and they say, "Hi, Mike." How does that make you feel when somebody recognizes you at a clerk or something?
Right. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good, but we don't encourage that. And I think we should encourage that.
Mhm.
I mean, our day should be filled with positiveness rather than negativity.
Right.
And a lot of times we get sucked into that negativity. Anyway, the Hugs program is a fantastic program. And given the number of dementia patients just in Martin County, now we're not talking about St. Lucie County. St. Lucie County is larger, and there's a larger number of dementia patients up there. Used to be the elderly people lived in Martin County.
Mhm.
The younger people lived in St. Lucie County. But now with the influx of additional people coming from the north and other places, we're beginning to bring a lot of older people into both counties.
Sure.
And oh, by the way, that Crosstown Parkway is a godsend.
Yeah, you like it?
I love it. I have to go up to the Elks Club, which is where the Polish American Club is. on
The
Prima
one on
Vista.
Prima Vista?
Yeah. And I used to go US 1 to Prima Vista and then take a left. During the season, it would take me 20 to 30 minutes to get from Eastport Plaza to Prima Vista.
Sure.
Backed up, 2, 3 lights, 2, 3 lights. Now I can cut through Green River, not Green River.
The Crosstown?
No, Green River Park is a green. Village Green Parkway.
Village Green.
That goes straight into the new Crosstown Parkway.
Yes, it does.
And zips right up to Aroso, and I can whip around real quick. It's taken 10 minutes off my drive.
Yeah.
And then
It saved a lot of people, especially people who had to get from either side of the bridge. It saved them 30 minutes or so because they would have had to go north or south, and there's all that
Exactly.
traffic. Now you
then
could just cut it right across.
if I'm going to Miami or to to Fort Lauderdale, I would take Port St. Lucie Boulevard to the Turnpike, take the Turnpike to Jupiter, and then jump on 95. Now I can get on Crosstown Parkway and go right to 95.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's going to save another chunk of time as
Sure.
well. So, it took, I don't know how many years to build it. And the big thing was that bridge. And
30.
that's a big, long bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Big, long bridge.
It's a nice. I tried to drive over it right after it opened up, and I had to go out there, and the earliest I could get there was nighttime. So it was pitch black and it was pouring down rain. Not the best experience going over the bridge, but it's really nice. It is convenient. And the only thing I don't like about it is the intersection of Floresta
Yeah,
and
if you come down
Crosstown.
Floresta, you have to go right and make a loop and come back.
They
to get
claim
back on
it's a
Floresta.
new type of intersection that cuts down congestion by 90%. I don't buy it. I think it's cutting congestion because nobody wants to drive it
Don't
anymore.
do Floresta. Go up to Aroso because that's a easy right turn.
Yeah, well, I live off Floresta. My
Okay.
in-laws live off
Can't
Floresta.
do
I can't take it anymore.
Well, go Port St. Lucie Boulevard to Floresta.
Yeah, that's it.
They used to pile up in front of that bridge to go to Floresta over the bridge.
Oh, yeah, for
It
sure.
was really backed up.
Yep.
So it saved a lot of. Again, we need to do these kinds of things because when we moved to Port St. Lucie was 1990.
It was you guys, it was my neighbors, and it was 6 cows.
And it was 2 lanes with sand.
Yeah.
along, along the macadam,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like 6 lanes and stuff. I mean, little by little, they built the what used to be called Smurf Towers
Okay.
because it was painted Smurf blue.
All
And
right. Where was that?
That was on the corner of Port St. Lucie Boulevard and Erosa. That's the
Huh.
city building. They painted
Oh,
it
okay.
yellow. They finally had to paint it yellow because
Ew, Smurf
they didn't
blue.
like the Smurf blue. It was a beautiful blue Smurf.
That's the color of my house. I hate that color.
Smurf Towers. But little by little, we're making progress, and we still are not city in Port St. Lucie. I don't consider us to be a city,
No, we are, but we're not.
but we don't act like a city. We don't have the congestion, even though we have congestion. We don't have the kind of congestion you'd have in Fort Lauderdale. I was told that Port St. Lucie is like Fort Lauderdale used to be 40 years ago. It was a little suburb from
Mhm.
Miami, a little country kind of thing. And we still have that kind of aura
Sure.
about us. And one of the things I found in all the work that I've done with people in the Treasure Coast, I find that it's a very friendly community. I run a huge network. Okay. It's basically a professional network. We have about 720 people involved in that. We have monthly breakfasts. We usually get anywhere between 50 and 90 people show up. Free breakfast, full breakfast, all kinds of things. Networking. And we've been trying to start that as a community. We're all together. You could go in and see 4 people from 4 different associations, 4 different nursing homes are sitting together having breakfast because they're friends.
Mhm.
You're down south, they don't even talk to each other. The competition gets very vicious. The heart of the population kind of, fighting back and forth. We don't seem to have this. And it's a smart thing because in this business, you could be wearing a different name tag next month
Mhm.
of one of those people that were supposedly your competitors.
Sure.
So, we're lucky we live in that kind of thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about actually was turkeys. We're coming up on Thanksgiving, as I'm sure everybody realizes that. There's an organization called MISS of the Treasure Coast, and they're having a community Thanksgiving for the homeless and low-income families on November 26th at the Martin County Fairgrounds. And they're going to be giving away a lot of turkeys and all kinds of information and celebrations, etc. And the mission of this organization is to provide housing and support services to single female heads of households who are extremely low income and committed to alleviating the needs of disadvantaged families by empowering single mothers to gain self-sufficiency. So they're going to be giving a whole ton of turkeys away. There's another organization, which is called the HATT Foundation, and they're having their annual turkey drive on the 23rd of November at Farmex Pure Age Management, Glenview Court in Port St. Lucie. And they said $20 will feed one family. They're going to be distributing 10,000 turkeys
Whoa.
to 10,000 needy children and family. And I think a guest that, I don't know if you remember or not, his name is Eric Anderson, big fellow, is now working with an organization. They're going to be distributing 20,000 turkeys
Wow.
to the community.
There's an incredible amount of people out there in our community where you think of Martin County as an expensive place to live, a well-to-do area. A lot of people here that have had successful careers and have made a lot of money in their lifetime. And yet there are areas of the county that have been designated as food deserts, meaning that it's very difficult to get food. And there are some very poor areas of our community and some very needy families. And these are great causes.
Go to Nassau. Okay, they have the beautiful Atlantis Resort. Now the Baha Mar Resort, 7 miles down the road in Cable Beach, $3 billion project, renovation of an older casino hotel thing. A lot of money, beautiful things. Down at the western end of the island are these gorgeous homes. Sean Connery's house and a number of notables live there. But in Nassau itself, if you go up the hill, there's super poverty.
Yeah.
Super poverty. Little cement buildings with windows that are open. They don't even have air conditioners.
Right. In the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas. Don't have air conditioning. And in fact, one of the negative things about that country, I'm going to say it anyway because we need to talk about positive and negative. There are restaurants down in Atlantis, down at the marina. There's a whole slew of restaurants, beautiful, beautiful restaurants, wealthy, gorgeous, expensive. When at the end of the day, if they have extra food, they cannot give it to the people in Nassau. They have to throw it away. The government will not allow them to give food out, like Panera's. If you have a charity and you're having an event and you work with Panera's, they'll give you all the breads and desserts from that day that are left over.
Yeah, and most of it holds up really well.
Yeah,
I used to work with a guy who would bring in a bunch of it.
I had a car full of that for one of the memory walks.
Mm-hmm.
They just bags and bags of bread and
bagels and
everything.
All the pastries.
Why throw it away? If somebody can eat it.
Yeah, it's just going to waste.
In nutrition. But again, in the Bahamas, they're limited to that. Plus, the local Bahamians cannot gamble. They cannot go to. They cannot.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, right. But the food thing. Given that if you go to a place called Carmine's, you only order one salad for 2 people because that salad will feed 4. You only order one entree because that entree will feed
Here
4.
or there?
There.
Okay.
I mean, they can make this huge amount of food for a couple. And what do you do with the rest of it? They have to throw it away.
Yeah.
That would feed a couple people, a couple children, more than a couple children. So sometimes, that's another thing to work toward fixing. Another thing to come up with a regulation. Like you guys were talking about the Florida regulation being proposed about reading a book pre-marriage,
right,
and signing an acknowledgement.
They won't let you get married. There's a law potentially on the books, a law proposed that would require people to read up on marriage guidance before getting married.
Not because Big Brother government is forcing this on you, but because it might help to save a marriage. It might help to not, or to alleviate.
But it is Big Brother forcing it on you.
Yeah, but let's say that. Well, there's certain regulations. I think we have speed limits. That's imposing from the government. I want to go 100 miles an hour. Why are they telling me I can't do that? Well, there's a safety issue. And the government is saying, you have to conform to speeds or else you get fined or you're put in jail. There are some useful things about government. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
trust me, I totally understand that issue of sometimes there's government stuff where they put restrictions on for a good reason. I have a hard time buying it for the marriage. It's one thing when a church or an organization says, if you want to get married here or as part of our organization, we require X, Y, and Z.
But churches do that.
But that's different. You don't have to get married in the church. Right. You don't have to. But from the state, that's on everybody. And I don't think it's the state's business to get involved in that.
See, what they should have done is said, we're going to do this for a 5-year period. And we're going to evaluate the number of divorces and see if this is having an impact. And if it's not having an impact, get rid of it.
Well, even then, I don't think that's the state's place. There's some things that are the right thing to do. That's not the state's business. I think
speed limits are.
Speed limits are. There are. That is definitely, the state's indication. I think it would have been better served if they had maybe set aside funds for as an option and say, this is available to you if you want it.
And give some kind of break if you go through the course or, you whatever you do.
Yeah, maybe that's different.
Half price on your marriage license.
Exactly. Right. Take this, read it. You get to do. That's different.
Okay, then maybe that's what they should do. The Catholic Church has pre-Cana. The Episcopal Church has pre-Cana. You have to go to sessions before you're allowed to marry in those churches. But that's a church issue. It's not a government issue.
And it's just like the condo association or homeowners association. They've got their rules, and if you don't like them, you don't have to go there.
Well, I'm not going to advocate for this, but I think it's still a good idea that maybe if you want to have a child, you take a course and pass a course in parenting. Then you can have the child.
Yeah, that'll never pass.
But, something to make awareness to help people understand that there are responsibilities and there are processes that if you follow, you're going to get a better outcome. And again, offering incentives maybe will do it.
Sure.
Get out of jail free card, something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And it's hard when we live in a society that we have rights. The government, we're very cautious about the government imposing rights on us. And yet at the same time, we have to evaluate what those rights that they're imposing are. Are they good for the whole population, or is it government trying to take over more things
Sure.
like speed limits?
Right.
Although not very many people conform to the speed limits. And
No.
almost everybody in Florida has a broken turn signal.
Mm-hmm.
They do what my mother-in-law calls a finesse. They come to a stop sign and just kind of take the right turn without stopping the 3 seconds that the book says.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've seen people drive by a school bus.
Well, that they'll come after you
Or
for.
if there's a barrier, I remember this, if it's more than 4 feet, you can continue on.
Yeah, that one was always tough. And I hate coming up on those barriers because you never quite know. Is this a big enough barrier? Is it too small? And
But
then
if it looks small, I stop.
yeah.
But if it looks like it's, there's a strip on Leonard Road where the new Grove Park apartments are. The school bus stops there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's probably a 10 or 12 foot barrier with bushes and stuff that you can continue to go through.
Sure.
But I've seen people just fly through things or, pass the school bus while the red lights are on.
Yeah. Yeah. There's bad drivers out there, and then there's people that have momentary lapses of what they're paying attention. They're zoning out and they just go, oh, did I just run that red light?
Plus, the police can't stop at a crossroads and wait for another violation.
Right.
They're busy doing other things besides.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just had police dedicated to doing turn signals and stop signs, we'd be making tons of money in the counties. But that money, by the way, does not go to the police department. I thought it did. It goes to the county budget.
Yeah.
I thought the police department got that for their.
That's how they got their radar.
Yeah.
New uniforms. No,
it's not. It's a begging process.
Mm-hmm.
Or being outside the fireman with a boot on the highway asking for donations.
Right.
And I think that's criminal. The state ought to provide for these services.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
they shouldn't be out there trying to hustle money. It's kind of like I was at a college. I taught at a college in New York State. And there are 14 arts and science colleges that offer the master's degree. Then there are 4 university centers that offer the PhDs and MD programs. And every year we submitted a budget. And Albany was the central core, was like a spider. Okay, all these little tentacles are out there for the different colleges. And every year we would ask for money, and state would laugh at us and cut our money because we started a school of business. And we were getting funded by Xerox and Kodak and Bausch and Lomb. A lot of money coming in for that business college, which was offsetting the deficits in the budget. And the more money that we got from businesses, the less money the state gave us. And I, for one, was advocating that the college go private, because I think they would have been able to get enough money from the local businesses to build those kinds of programs. But the state said, oh, yeah, they're getting more money. Let's cut more from them. Rather than saying, use your extra money to make your place a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're sort of caught in the middle here. The more money you come in, the less money you're going to get.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is.
Tough.
Anyway, we didn't do a commercial. How about if we do one?
All right. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Thank you.
WSTU, we go back to the forum with our host, Pat Sacco.
Thanks, Mike. Well, we're coming up on, this is November, what was it? 7th of November, okay? And next week is Veterans Day. And I'm going to do a shout out to Vern Gibson. His birthday is on the 11th of November. He was born on Veterans Day. And Vern will be 96 years old. And Vern is my father-in-law. My mother-in-law is a lot younger. She's only 94. So, and they're still independent in their places. He drives around and he has not had any serious accidents. And bless him. Bless them both for that longevity. My mother-in-law, her mother lived to be 102, and her grandmother lived to be 105. So there's great longevity in that family. So, we're blessed to have these people with us in their ages and to be able to enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And, the thing is, if you're 85 or older, your chances of dementia are about 50%.
Really?
Yeah.
Every year developing it, or?
No, after 85 or older, about 50% of the population has some degree of dementia.
Oh.
But remember the difference, the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Dementia is like an umbrella. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The spokes that hold that umbrella up are the various diseases. About 70% of the spokes are Alzheimer's disease. We have Parkinson's disease. We have multiple sclerosis. We have football head injuries. We have AIDS. We have other things that contribute to dementia.
Okay.
Okay. And so that the dementia, I think there's something like 60 million people in the world that have some form of dementia. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people do we have in the world? 7 billion, 8 billion?
Yeah. Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. And it depends on the country you live in as to what the kind of awareness. I mean, our America has had a great awareness of dementia and of problems. Other countries, not so much, because very rarely does somebody go into an institution. If you live in Italy or if you live in France, the old people come and live with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you take care of them till the end of their time. They have very few places to send people congregate living for nursing homes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the families look upon elderly people as wise and be able to go to get advice from. Whereas in America, the older you get, the more invisible you tend to become in the society. Or the more irritant, the lady fumbling around in her purse for her checkbook at the counter when you're waiting to get your groceries.
Mm-hmm.
You get upset. Come on, hurry up. And everybody's wanting to hurry up all the time. And plan your day so you don't have to hurry up. Don't go to 7 things, go to 4. And enjoy yourself. Have a cup of coffee once in a while in between them. Sit and read a few things. Relax a little bit. We're in this pace of this heavy hurry kind of thing. I don't know about you and your wife when you go shopping. On a Saturday, do you spend 4 or 5 places?
Well, no, but we don't want to be there. We don't want to be shopping. It's not something that we want to take our time with. We want it to be over with as quick as possible so we can get back to the things we want to be doing.
Exactly. And sometimes, we used to pride ourselves in going to 3 or 4 places on a Saturday. Oh,
well, there's those people that are the extreme couponers, and they're going to go and they're going to search all the deals, and they go around, and that works great for them. Good for them.
Right.
That's fantastic. I love getting a good deal.
But I don't think we need to spend that kind of time with those kinds of activities. I'd rather spend the time doing something else, or relaxing. Or
yeah, we've all got the things.
Got to be home before 12 o'clock on Saturday for football.
Yeah, we've all got the things that we want to do and we want to spend time on, and then we've all got the things that we have to do and we have to spend time on.
And they don't seem to be compatible, do they?
Not often.
No.
Not often. You're a very lucky individual if you can get those two to be the same.
Yeah. Well, I plan that trip. If I'm going to go out, I plan my drive. If I'm going to go to 3 places, I hit the first one first, turn around and hit the next 2 coming back. So I save some time rather than reversing the course or whatever.
Sure.
But anyway. Well, I'm going to wrap up now.
Okay.
I have a guest scheduled for next week. And then I think the following week, we're going to do that 5 Wishes program.
Oh, that'll be excellent. What is the 5 Wishes program?
It's the program that you would fill out for your demise, for heading toward whatever happens after death. that you can specify all kinds of things that you want to have happen while you're in that state going toward the promised land, whatever that is.
All right. So it's a program you can put together these things and help guide
Right.
the
And-
people left behind.
And they're strongly recommended by the hospice associations.
Excellent.
There's two of them. There's Treasure Coast, what used to be Treasure Coast Hospice, and now a new company called Vitas. And they're both hospice type organizations,
Mhm.
which have expanded greatly from the original thing was you go there and just the last 3 days, they have somebody come into the house or you go to the hospice center and you pass away. There are all kinds of programs now. They get free post-grief counseling, like for 2 years after your loved one dies. There are a number of things. Sometimes you don't have to have a terminal diagnosis to be on hospice,
Sure.
depending on your condition. So they really, the government has expanded that to help more people.
It's an excellent program.
Yeah, we'll review that. Okay, well, thank you. And we'll be back next week with another guest on the forum.